Welcome to Combat Recapped. Today's video will be covering the scariest face-changing knockouts ever seen in MMA. Without further delay, let's get to it. Obviously, when you're getting punched by another person or have Edson Barbosa kick your head off, it's gonna cause your face to look like the UFO Joe Rogan is trying to find. With that much speed and power, it is borderline impossible to eat a punch and still have your face remain to look like Jocko Willink. Everyone that has gotten caught with a beautiful strike has had this happen, but there are a few notable ones where the photographer caught the photo at the right time. For this video, we've compiled a list of instances where MMA fighters got smacked so hard to where their face looked like a steamrolled action figure. Number 12. Frankie Edgar. Man, this one had Frankie look more like Frankenstein. This crazy matchup came at UFC 268 when Frankie Edgar faced off against Marlon Vera. After the second round, Frankie would get up and face Vera, which the Ecuadorian would make him regret in the next round. As the second round started, both fighters began to exchange again, but with a little over a minute left, Vera landed a crazy front kick that had Frankie age 80 years in just 0.6 seconds. Though this strike didn't have Frankie completely out, the ref decided he had seen enough and stopped the fight, after which he got pounced on. Number 11. Tony Ferguson. Tony and Frankie were twins after this crazy knockout occurred courtesy of Michael Chandler. This highly anticipated fight ended in a way no one thought it could. Chandler was the first person to ever completely knock out the MMA legend, and he did it in Anderson Silva fashion. This insane finish came in the first 15 seconds of the second round. Both fighters circled around the cage, but the first real strike that was thrown was the front kick. Literally no one swung a punch or kick. Chandler's kick was the only strike in that whole round that actually connected and was thrown. It was hard to watch Tony completely faceplant like he did, especially since Chandler successfully made him look like Abraham Lincoln. Number 10. Jose Aldo. What Conor did to Aldo was completely crazy, but his expression after he was knocked out was even more ridiculous. Conor defeated Jose Aldo in 13 seconds to win the featherweight championship a little less than 7 years ago. When you consider the hegemonic reputation the Brazilian had at the time in the division, this was one of the most bizarre bout results ever. What's especially surprising is how quickly that left cross struck Jose in the face, sending him to slump and signaling the end of the belt. Looking back at the pictures and videos, Conor struck the target that Jose had left wide open with a picture-perfect strike. The damaged face wasn't a joke. Number 9. Ronda Rousey. Rowdy Ronda Rousey's tough girl persona got a taste of her own medicine. She put on a show, and it really backfired. One of the biggest UFC shocks in sports history was all Holly Holm's fault. As absurd, though, was Ronda's ability to foresee Holly's actions and still fail to stop them. For all the head movement Edmund would try to help Ronda train with, it still wasn't enough to stop her from looking like the gingerbread man. Even Amanda Nunes had a fun time making Ronda look like a fish out of the water by putting her away by way of TKO. Number 8. Rashad Evans. On to one of the scarier knockout faces seen in the sport of MMA.
That's what he took in the body. Oh, another shot. He's getting teed off on. He's down. He's out.
Rashad was one scary dude in that cage, but Lyoto would have disassembled that fear by making his opponent completely out of consciousness in their matchup by UFC 98. This terrifying KO came in round 2 and did not disappoint one bit. It all started with Lyoto dropping a shot and had him get back up and wobbled up against the cage. The flurry the Brazilian put on caught Rashad in the face and had him out for the count. Rashad, looking like a Walking Dead extra, was out cold on the mat as Lyoto would walk away as the winner. Number 7. Alan Patrick. This fast knockout was super scary, but so were the follow-up shots on the downed fighter. When Michael Johnson met Alan Patrick in the cage, he showed him just how fast his hands were. The super fast finish came in the second round when Michael landed an insane combo that had Patrick's chin land on his own shoulder. After this would land, it had Patrick crumple to the ground dazed, so Michael would land a few more punches till his opponent would remain out. The photos of this crazy punch landing was insane to see since it landed so cleanly on Allen's face. Number 6. Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker has simply done it all. The worm, the ragdoll, and the inflatable man.
Like this, you gotta dodge the crazy punch.
Oh my gosh! That's it!
This knockout occurs in the first round and showcases why Jamahal is a scary man to face. The first round wasn't even finished, and the Hill had landed a crazy right hand on the forehead of Walker, having him look like a man that drank a bottle of Johnny Walker Double Black. Just look at his crumpled face after the knockout occurred. Jamahal thought he still wasn't done and decided to fly in with 2 more hands and attempt to rip off the Brazilian's jaw. Number 5. Austin Lane. Greg Hardy showed us 2 things in his career. One, that he can throw some cinder blocks for hands, but also he can get knocked out. This was brought to us by Greg Hardy when he faced off against Austin Lane on Dana White's Contender Series 9. This strike had about the same effect of letting a train hit your bottom jaw. The fight didn't even last a minute due to Greg winding up his right hand that had Austin's jaw go on vacation in the Bahamas. After his jaw would come back into place, he would stand up just to get fed another punch with virtually no defense at all. Number 4. Rich Franklin. This punch had Rich Franklin's face look like he's been facing chronic constipation. The knockout itself was beautiful just because of how it had Rich's body turned into a dummy filled with jello. It all started and ended in round 1 when Rich dropped his hands and allowed a monster's right hand from Lee to land across his chin, having dropped him as well. This finish was pretty crazy to watch, but seeing how fast it landed on Franklin's face and seeing the photos of the effect is even crazier. Number 3. Vitor Belfort. Anderson Silva helped Vitor's foot fetish by throwing his own foot up his opponent's brain.
Second to none.
Back then, when Anderson wasn't losing a fight to a YouTuber, he was one of the most terrifying mixed martial artists the world had ever seen. Vitor felt this knockout firsthand. Well, felt it first foot, we guess. Vitor's face looked completely empty as it landed, but the constipation face kicked in until he would fall to the ground. 2 more punches from his Brazilian opponent was all it took for Mario Yamasaki to end the fight. Number 2. Luke Rockhold. Luke Rockhold conceived, believed, and achieved to look like a kid about to throw up from eating too many brownies.
Being spit. Wow!
This knockout occurred in the second round when the legendary Polish power would land a combo that had Luke in dreamland. This occurred after the 2 fighters had been locked up against the cage and had separated, and then delivered a right and left hand combination that promptly knocked Rockhold to the ground. All it needed to return Luke to the 3rd grade was a couple more blows delivered while undercover as one of the gnarliest strikes we've ever seen. Number 1. Frank Camacho. Geoff Neal's hands of steel demonstrated that it wasn't only his hands that could render opponents lifeless dummies.
Button that many times.
On his opponent Frank Camacho, he delivered this outrageous kick in the second round. His opponent's chin was directly struck by his shin, giving him the appearance of Popeye the Sailor with one eye open. This quickly knocked Camacho out because his body would slump to the ground uncontrollably and go straight to Kamaru Usman. The kick was so terrifying that Frank's mouth went to his own ear. If you've made it this far, please let us know how we did in the comment section down below. Be sure to subscribe to Combat Recapped and hit the notification bell to be notified of future videos. Thank you for watching. See you in our next video.